Hi, it's Dan. Welcome. This video is a little intro taken from a real TOGAF training class to what the class is about, what the course is about, what the exams are about, and what the ethos and intention of this training is. So if you're thinking of taking TOGAF training, you might find this really helpful. I hope you do. This is a very intensive course. Everybody always says after the 4 days, gosh, that was a lot of stuff, and my head is full. This is an accredited course. It's accredited by the Open Group, which owns the TOGAF brand. We will have all the content needed for these two exams. There are separate courses you can take on these two topics, but this is a blended, combined course. So the information is interleaved, partly because a lot of it is duplicated between the two courses. So I'll talk a little bit about what each one of these is and what it's for. The TOGAF standard is primarily a methodology, a set of techniques and tools for applying the methodology, and a taxonomy about how to store and manage information that you create or gather as you're doing the architecture work. A lot of what I'll talk to you about is, in terms of the methodology, I'll say at this point you need to think about risk management. Here's a little bit about risk management that is on the exam. So I'll tell you about that. You don't have to be a risk management expert, but you do need to know that there are risk management experts and what they are likely to look like and how that intersects with the methodology. So a lot of what we are talking about here will be what you might call in the program stubs that we've put in, so you know there's something to connect to that's a lot more detailed. If we went down every one of those rabbit holes, we would be here for a semester instead of a week. So we won't do that. This course is based on the TOGAF Standard 10th edition, and there still are TOGAF 9 courses available, which I've stopped doing immediately when I could because this is a lot better. The TOGAF 9 course focus and the exam focus is much more about memorizing things and much less about what do I actually do if I'm doing this kind of work, which is the thing that interests me. There are some things here you'll have to memorize, but not as much. So in terms of certifications, in this picture, the place you are on this path is uh, training for the EA Foundation and training for the EA Practitioner. EA Foundation training and the EA Foundation exam are very much a memory test. You have to be able to recognize things on a multiple choice test. Which of these is an objective of phase C? A, B, C, or D? Pick the right answer. That's what the part one exam is like. I'll do my best to equip you for it. I don't teach a separate foundation course. I don't know what the point of that is. Nobody asks for that when they're looking for employees. More interesting is the practitioner knowledge, which requires the knowledge of this structure that you have to memorize, but then talks about how do we put this to work? How do we actually do enterprise architecture work in order to deliver some value to our organization? It still is what in university you might call a survey course. It covers the landscape. It explains all the parts, and we have some examples of how to do the work, and I will give you more examples of how this works in practice. But again, it is not it's not the 2-year course on how to become a master enterprise architect. Most of that training actually happens in the real world, not in a classroom anyway. But with this, you should take away with you a basic knowledge of how all these parts fit together. If you are just starting out as an enterprise architect, you will go in equipped with an understanding of the generic TOGAF methodology, the generic TOGAF content framework, meta model approach, how we structure things. Every organization will take this and adapt it to their organization. So the language will be a little bit different everywhere you go. Everyone who has an architecture tool uses slightly different language, different data models, perhaps. Keep in mind that you're learning a theoretical layer that is something that gets implemented into a real world environment. There are a lot of people doing enterprise architecture work who don't know what they're doing. They have the title, but they think that their job is to tell everybody what to do. It is not. They think that their job is to write code. Nope, not that either. They think that their job is to design things and tell people, here's the design, I figured it out, go do it. Most of the people in those roles in this kind of work are people who have come from a different kind of role that looks similar but it's very different, which is the technical expert. So if you're the best network engineer in your company, you know everything there is to know about that, then you're used to people coming to you and saying, as the person who knows more than anybody else about network engineering, what should I do? And what you give them is the answer. That's not what this role is about. So the answer, the expertise that we're going to talk about in this training is expertise at facilitating a methodology and facilitating collaboration and facilitating supporting stakeholders in arriving at the optimal way to make the change that's wanted. You have to understand the technology, but it's not a technology job per se. So that's what the practitioner information is about. That's the real useful part of this course, besides the certification, that I hope will persist for you. Anybody taking this course anywhere should come away with these things. First of all, a common language with TOGAF practitioners. What does that mean? Well, there is definitely very clear set of terminology that's used in the TOGAF standard. A lot of it is used in every enterprise architecture organization. They want you to, this is a little advertising message, they want you to understand how this works with Agile, because people say, oh, TOGAF is old and horrible, you don't want it, it's waterfall. Don't do that. That's actually incorrect. If you learn how to apply the TOGAF approach to change management, you will understand why I say that's not correct, because it is not waterfall or non-waterfall. You should learn about the methodology and you should know something about the techniques. These last two bullets are a bit ambitious. I was watching the Olympics earlier, and you have these people on snowboards going 6 meters in the air, spinning around. I understand how to describe that. I do not know how to do that. You will be able to describe enterprise architecture methodology. And doing that is a matter of a lot of hard work and practice. But you do have to start with being able to describe it and knowing what the things are you have to know about in order to do the work. Sometimes people say to me, oh, I don't care about the exam, I just want the knowledge. When they're in the course, say, well, exam doesn't really matter to me. And within 20 minutes, they say, oh, is that on the exam? Well, they do care about, everyone cares about the exam. I understand that. So let's talk about the exam. What do you have to do to get this TOGAF certification? There are two exams, the foundation and the practitioner, and they're structured differently. The foundation exam has 40 questions. There are multiple choice. The scoring on that is very simple. One answer is correct. You get a point if you choose that one, otherwise nothing happens. You have to get 24 of the 40 questions to pass. If you live in a country where English is not an official language, you'll get an extra 30 minutes. You can take this exam remotely, which most people seem to do now, or you can go into an exam center, and those are all over the world. The Part 2 exam, practitioner, is 8 questions. Each of the 8 questions has a little scenario. You are an enterprise architect working in Megacorp, which has just acquired Minicorp, and there's a merger going on, and you've been asked to help figure out how we're going to deal with overlapping systems in these two organizations, or something like that. What should you do according to the TOGAF standard? And you get 4 possible answers, and they're scored 5 points for the best, 3 points for the second best, and so on. You have to pass both exams to get the practitioner certification. The best predictor of success on these exams, other things being equal, is to book it within the next month or so. Don't leave it for a year. You will have forgotten too much. After you pass the practitioner exam, you will also get a badge called the TOGAF Applied Practitioner Badge. And that's automatically provided to people who have been through this training with an actual training instructor instead of done something with videos and things like that. I hope that was useful for you, information about the exams and the thrust of why I do TOGAF training and why you might be interested in it. If you'd like to know more, you can book a call. I'll talk to you about it. If you want to take training with me, that's great. If you want to take training with somebody else, please pick someone to teach you who has actually done this work in the real world. You will get ever so much more out of it.